Tim O'Sullivan was brought up on his family's farm near Fairlie in South Canterbury. Winner of the 2009 Young Farmer of the Year title, Tim's now making a career in irrigation.
I've had maybe 10 or 12 years experience in the irrigation industry and formed a company with two other parties called Sustainable Water. So heavily involved in irrigation storage, irrigation infrastructure and on-farm irrigation scheme development, project management, things like that.
Since the 1980s, the O'Sullivans have had consent to extract 103 litres a second from the Tengawai River. It's drawn via an intake gallery beneath the riverbed.
We've got a 500mm poly pipe under the river. It's slotted, and above that we have varying grades of gravel to prevent any fish or eels or any fish life whatsoever making its way into the pipe. This river at the moment is running at about 3 cubic. Its mean flow is probably something around the 1 to 1.5. During the summer it's managed by the Regional Council ECAN, and if it drops to 600 litres a second we all go on restriction, so we're cut off from that supply, which maintains a minimum flow down the river for aquatic life and things.
But while the consent conditions protected the Tengawai River, they posed problems on the farm.
Yeah, obviously we started irrigating in the mid-80s and we were on a system, a run of the river, so we could draw water from the river when it was above that minimum flow. So for periods of each summer, 6 weeks to a month, or a month to 6 weeks, we'd be subject to some sort of restriction. So one day you're irrigating, the next day you're shut off, and it was quite difficult to manage the farming operation around that.
The solution was to construct a $1.4 million storage pond, gravity-fed from the river.
Now it gives us up to a month to 6 weeks irrigating, so we can stop drawing from the river and continue irrigating out on the pasture with that storage reservoir. It's reasonably unique. It's 9 metres of water because we've used an artificial membrane. It's enabled us to go to that depth because there's no seepage. If you were to build this with an earth pond, you'd suffer some massive seepage. We've got a reduced surface area because of the volume, so the alternative to this was building a large flat earth pond approximately 3 metres deep, which was going to absorb a footprint of about 20 hectares. And obviously with a large flat surface, your evaporation off the surface is also significant too. This system here, we have the probes which controls the automation or the gate into the pond. So we type in our 103 litres a second there, and it maintains that flow and won't exceed that. On the top there we have an aerial that's radioed through to ECAN. So our flow on the hour at any given hour is radioed through, and ECAN have got recollection of what we've been pumping or what we've been drawing from the river. So that enables us never to exceed our consent of 103 litres a second.
When the O'Sullivan farm was converted to dairying 3 years ago, it was set up with high-tech precision irrigation.
Yeah, we have 4 centre pivots on the farm. Because you can easily manipulate how much you're applying in any one pass, as you know, if you apply too much to soil, it becomes saturated and can leach nutrients out the bottom, I guess, and water. So yeah, we're avoiding that. We're avoiding complete drying out or permanent wilting point, and just staying within that zone between stress point and fuel capacity. Each pivot has what they call an aquaflex, which is a ribbon out in the pasture there, and it measures the average moisture content held within the soil. So it basically gives us, the farmer, a pretty good education, or fast-track education about soil moisture or soil water and how the physiology works. So after a rainfall event, we'll look at the graph, it comes up to saturation, and it'll drop away to what we call a trigger point, which means when we start irrigating. And from that point on, we'll try and keep within those middle zones between stress point and field capacity. So we're not saturating the soil, as I talked about before, and not allowing the soil to dry out to a point where plants are going to wilt.
By storing water and using centre pivots backed up with soil moisture monitoring, the O'Sullivans have maximised irrigation efficiency.
There's no more efficient applicator than this in the agriculture sector for broad acre application as the pivot. There's still a bit of education and fine-tuning around the use of within the speed in which they're applying and when to start and stop them relative to rainfall events, but that's where that soil moisture is coming in, and I believe in 5 to 10 years most irrigation systems will be managed by some form of system similar to that.